Welcome back to day 3 of this inner journey of Prana Shuddhi Abhiyan. We are trying to understand how our mind reacts, how our body reacts, and how our pranic flow, which has become disturbed because of many factors, we have to bring it back. So sit comfortably and let's take some deep breaths together. Inhale and exhale. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. The last one will inhale through the nose and exhale slowly as long as we can through the nose. Day 1, we understood the mind, that how mind works, how man, buddhi, ahankar, which form the chitta, how the disturbances make our entire system to go wrong. In the second day, we tried to slow our breaths. And today, we are going to be working on the emotions stored in our body. We have already understood Chitta, Mana, Buddhi, Ahankar, and how they react. If you have any questions, you may come back, you may ask those questions on the WhatsApp or the Facebook group and also on the YouTube. And then we also understood so far that when stress happens, because we are perceiving danger, our body starts to protect us. And today, in today's life, we have understood that most of the threat is psychological, not physical. And whatever pressures we have, they are in our mind because we are playing them over and over in our mind. So the mind keep replaying the past experiences which are stored in our chitta and keep reacting the same way without breaking the loop. And man is always trying to be overpowerful, and buddhi is not getting any space to regulate. So our body is never in the rest mode. As we discussed, we are always in a survival mode, stuck in fight, flight, and fear reaction. And we also understood what is the survival mode and what is the safety mode. The survival mode is where our sympathetic nervous system is always working. And we also discussed the symptoms: shallow breath, racing thoughts, hormonal imbalance, and emotional reactivity. And this never lets us to rest, and we are always rushing, always in a mood to be doing things fast. Chale vate, chale chittam. And when we have to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, nishchale nishchalam bhave. So you'll have to get into the healing by transforming yourself into the healing mode, because the overthinking is really making our breath go bad. Our chest is tight. We are doing shallow breathing, fast breathing. There are so many lifestyle issues: irritable bowel syndrome, gut issues, stomach tension. Your decisions are all clouded, and many more such things, because your breath is disturbed, your pranic shakti is disturbed, and so is your entire body and mind. So we are stuck in overthinking, and cognitive loops are replaying in our mind. Our prana is scattered. Moving ahead, we just had asked you yesterday, what is your mind these days? And without saying, it is understood that most of the minds of the people today have they become the enemies and they are not their friends. This is a journey in trying to make these minds of yours your friends. So today we bring in Bhagavad Gita again because we are trying to align yogic wisdom with today's modern psychological wisdom. And we are talking about Shloka 37 of the chapter 3, where Bhagwan Krishna is talking to Arjuna and telling him that what is really happening with a human being. Because Arjuna had asked a question before this shloka. He asks that what it is that is making the human being work even without their will, their wish. Because our automatic systems, which we have formed, the loops and all, they will let us keep doing things. So to that question, Lord Krishna answers, he says, Kamaha eshaha, krodha eshaha, rajogunaha, samuptvaha, mahashanaha, mahapamsaha, vidhi enam, ihe varinam. Now, what is that meaning? He says, it is Kam and Krodh. We have already discussed Kamana, the will, the Ichha, the attachment, the possessiveness of our nature. And because we are not able to get something, the anger, the Krodh. This is the Rajogun. We already know that there are three natures. We talk about Rajas, Tamas, and the Sattva. So it is about Rajas here. He says, Kam and Krodh, these happen to any human being. They really are very bad. And what happens because of them? They have the qualities which are all devouring and sinful. They are the greatest enemies. We also know, if I have an itcha or a wish to get something, if that does not get fulfilled, I'll be stuck in that loop because I want it. You tell your child that the child cannot get what they're wanting. They'll cry because their wish, their desire is making them be angry. They'll say things to you because they want your attention. They want you to give them what they are wanting. And that is happening with you also, yourselves. So, kamaha and krodhaha means the wish or to get something, to find something or somebody. They really make us go bad and they are our biggest enemies. And he goes on to further saying something which is very interesting and makes a lot of sense. He says, Dhumen avriti hai vihraha. Vihra means fire. Yatha adarsho mlen cha yatha alben amrito garbha tatha tenedam avritam. Now, what is he trying to say here? He's saying that dhua, smoke, it takes the agni. When there is fire, if there will be too much of smoke, that will cover the fire. You will think it is just the fire. We also know the proverb, if it says, wherever there is smoke, there has to be fire, right? It does not come like that. So it means smoke has the tendency of covering the fire. In the same way, if a mirror is very dirty and there is a lot of smoke, there is a lot of dust on it, you will not be able to see the clear face. You will think that my face is dirty, right? So the dhool or the dust will cover the mirror. In the same way, like when a lady is pregnant, the embryo gets covered with the entire bag. It is inside that bag. In the same way, our wisdom gets covered with the Ichha. The Ichha Shakti or the feeling to possess something, the attachment, the Rag or the Asakti. It is the Ichha and it covers what? It covers our wisdom. We just want it. मुझे ये चाहिए, कैसे भी चाहिए. अहंकार हावी हो रहा है, इच्छा शक्ति हावी हो रहा है, मन हावी हो रहा है, बुद्धि बिचारी बता ही नहीं पा रही है. No, this is not the time. You can't, do this. You have to act. And that's where we have to try to make our intellect act. He goes on to saying further, Avritam Jnanam Eten Jnaninoho Nitya Vairinaha Kam Rupen Kontehe Dushpuren Anle ichha. Now what is he saying? He's saying this ज्ञान इस शत्रु द्वारा ढक लिया जाता है. And what is the शत्रु? काम. काम is what? काम is not just lust of, we're not talking about sexual desire here. We are talking about lust and desire, the rag, the ichha of anything. So, kamana, ichha. So, what is happening here? The eternal enemy of your wisdom or your knowledge is what? It's the ichha shakti, the feeling to possess something or that obsession. So he says, O son of Kunti, knowledge is covered by this eternal enemy of the wise, desire. And this is never satisfied and it burns like fire. You know, when you really are angry, you want something, you want to give it back to somebody, you have that wish to, tell somebody you have said something wrong. It is burning you. You can feel that fire inside your stomach. Your stomach is your fire zone. You can feel that anger. And this is where we need to work. And that is what Lord Krishna is saying. So what is the gist of all these slokas? It is that the Ichha Shakti, which is, now Ichha is right or wrong is another story. But you have that Ichha and that you are stuck in that overthinking loop. It will take you with this wherever you go and you will be stuck in that. So what we have to do here? We have to understand how the mind is working. According to the modern psychology, there is right perception, there is wrong perception, there is imagination, you have memories of your sleep and past memory. We'll come back to this, but what is more important here is that you are stuck in the mental loops. You are in the negativity bias. Your mind is always looking for danger. We have got so negatively programmed. Our society, which was a very positive society, it has become so negatively programmed that we are always looking at the negative part of something. If we are going to do something, we'll say, नहीं, ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा. नहीं, वो तो बेकार है. वो तो इंसान ही अच्छा नहीं है. Nothing, So we are always looking for some leeways or some roadways where we are trying to find danger or negativity. And that is why what is happening, our sympathetic nervous system is on. We are always in an alert mode. One is you're always negative. What is the second one? Second is you're always catastrophizing. Now, whatever that means, you're always imagining, oh, it is going to be so bad. If I go there in my interview, what if I say wrong? What if my questions are not answered rightly? What if I'm asked a question? So we are always looking at the negative and the outcomes, imagining the outcomes which are negative. And then third is very important. What is this? This is conformity bias. Conformity bias is such a thing that today advertising agency is using it as a tool. Because you're always seeing everything. For example, let's say if my friend has liked something, I would also say, there must be something good, which is a positive thing also. But normally when you're looking at the crisis and the danger, because you're always trying to find proof. If I say, oh, you know what, ye aise ho sakta hai, and the next question is, what is the proof? We are always trying to get proofs to the things before trying. For example, pranayam. Now your breath is disturbed. What proof is it? Until unless we prove it to you that your breath is disturbed and you really need to align it well, will you agree with me? No. So I have to tell you that now you try to see where is your breath going. Is it in your throat? Is it in your chest? Is it in your stomach? In a way, good. But a lot of time, if you are stuck in that proof thing, until unless you have tried something, it will become a negative thing. Now, let's understand what is cognitive bias. Remember, it is a systematic and erratic thinking. And we have to always work on cognitive correction. This is a very scientific way of doing it. This is what today, when we talk about cognition is information processing. So our brain is always trying to keep us safe, and it creates mental shortcuts. Now, for example, if you see this image, if I've sent a message to my friend and they are not reacting, and I really want them to, react. Or, for example, if you are in a relationship, if a girl has sent a message to the boyfriend or the husband or the fiance or the partner, what is happening? You've sent a message and that person is not reacting. Now, there can be two realities to it. The main reality can be they are busy, they don't know how to react, they are taking their time to react. But what is our brain's biased story? The brain's biased story is they are ignoring me, they are not happy in the relationship. Did I do something wrong? Oh, no, they are wrong because they are always not able to care. They don't take care of me. They don't want this relationship. So, this is the story which the brain is going. So, how is it giving? It's because we have already some core beliefs, something which we have learned in our past, and we are building everything on that. So, what we are thinking is not the reality. So, the reality is different, but our mind is trying to protect us in a wrong way because we have let the mind be the boss. And it is like a monkey mind. It is jumping into all directions because it wants to do something. It wants the attention to make us feel safe and happy, but it is actually doing the opposite. As I was talking about core beliefs, now these biases, as I said, build over our past, when we are small. So they are formed very early from the attachments or the memories. For example, if in childhood you were told, oh, no, strong children don't cry. You don't cry. Get up. You are not supposed to cry. So you have built a compartment in your mind which says, it is not good to cry. I am strong. I cannot cry. Or if you were told, oh, you're so bad, you don't know how to do things. What will you build in your mind? You will feel, I am not good enough. People don't like me. If your parents were not there for you all the time and your attachment was not strong with the parents, what will you believe? People leave me. I am not taken care of. I am not safe. I have to learn to control myself. I have to learn to control my anger, my emotions. I can't share my emotions because I share my emotions. People will laugh at me. They will leave me. They will hate me. Am I making sense? So all these events, all these things which we have learned in our childhood, they create a conformity bias. And these become very powerful core beliefs. And this loop, which we have been talking of, the overthinking loop, which scatters our pranic shakti and our entire cognition is suffering, is built in our childhoods. We just spoke that these core beliefs are formed in our childhood. These are childhood imprints. They are the smriti or the memories where if you were rejected, your emotions were rejected, you were criticized too much, your parents were not present to be there to give you that safe attachment, or the atmosphere was fearful where you were always asked to do things, your suggestions were not taken, your rai was not taken, so you were always feeling unsafe, and you were also a child who was always trying to get attention by doing different things, good or bad. So childhood is the time a child cannot think logically, and because you can't think logically, you always start looking at things in a wrong manner. You form those core beliefs in a wrong manner, right? So these are the automatic emotional programs, and this is what probably happens to the brains of most of the people. If you all can just take a minute here and think of the disturbances, because normally it takes a personalized session where the counselor or the therapist would try to understand your patterns, understand your loops, where they came from, how they got built, and what kind of emotional dysregulation is happening in your system. And then one can understand. But here in this session, whatever I am telling, if you can try to interpret, if you can try to understand, you may be able to help yourself better. So, the body has remembered so far what? The mind has suppressed all your emotions. Don't cry. Be strong. It's not a big deal. Ignore it. Anna, these are the emotional regulations which have never been taught. Be strong for what? How are you going to get strong? You have not learned to process your emotions. You have not learned how to regulate your emotions. You were not taught how to take appreciation, or there was an emotional suppression. So all this, the mind has suppressed, it has put it into compartments, it has made small compartments where all these memories are stored, and you know how to act in a situation. But that's where Maharishi Patanjali says it is Smriti. And Smriti is a vritti, it's a fluctuation. Because you are causing disturbance because of a stored memory. Your mind is actually trying to protect you. But right now, you are not a drishta, you become the mind. So you'll have to become the observer and then intervene. Let your intellect intervene. And that's where the challenge of humanity lies, my dear friends. So, what are the major things happening? As we said, the body remembers those emotions because they are somewhere stored in the body. But your mind has suppressed and made some beliefs which you keep following. So the childhood has learned that expressions are unsafe, feelings are inconvenient, and strength means silence. And that is the reason in lots of sessions where we are, a lot of people are not able to gather strength to speak. They will be silent listeners. They will not be observing. Maybe they observe, but they will not be observing what is happening to them. They are just silently listening because they are not able to muster up that courage, that strength to get up and talk. Because there is a fear that if I ask something, people will laugh at me. People will tell me, oh, you don't know this? And this is a very common story in the schools even today. You know, when the children talk to each other and say, oh, this is so small, you don't know this? Ha, 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 ha. And you know, that child feels that asking is wrong. If I ask, that means I'm doing something wrong. You have to ask yourself, do you do this with others? And if you do, you will have to make your intellect take over. If somebody does not know something, only then they ask. Because nobody has time to just waste it. So expressions are not unsafe, my dear friends. Feelings are not inconvenient. So if you want to express yourself, please express well. Feelings are to be felt and expressed, and strength is in expressing what you're feeling. So, how does your body react to these? Your headaches. Because something is wrong, I don't know what's wrong, I'm having a headache. When there is a lot of stress, a lot of tension, you will say, oh my God, oh, this is causing a lot of headache. What do I do? There will be chest pain. Why will there be chest pain? We have to understand that. And there will be issues in your stomach. A lot of people have issues with IBS. IBS is what? It's a lifestyle disease. It's your stored emotions which are reflecting any situation which is a little stressful. You will start having irritable bowel syndrome, and muscles also get tensed, and your pranic flow becomes very restricted. All these areas will not get your prana shakti going, and you'll feel a lot of tightness around these areas. So scientifically, when you talk about the physiology, the psychophysiology of this, when a child suppresses the emotions, the sympathetic nervous system, we have been talking of it, fight, flight, and fear reaction is always on. The emotions are not completed. You have not cried when you needed to. You have not been appreciated when you wanted it. You have not got the release or the validations. And the body goes into partial freeze because your muscle tension is already happening. Your emotional regulation happens. Your muscular body to feel safe and to be flexible. But because the emotional energy is stored, your muscles are tight. And over time, this becomes your personality pattern. A lot of people would not understand who you are. Because you become such a personality that people can't understand, because you can't understand yourself. How will you let people understand? Because we have very frigid movement, we have very strict rules and regulations, because we are not training ourselves to change with every situation. And what happens in the throat? The things you wanted to say but you could not. They hurt. You feel scared. You wanted to say, it hurt me. You wanted to say, I'm scared. You want to say, I need you. Just put your heart into action. Put your right hand onto your heart and ask yourself, do you still have these feelings where you want to tell somebody, it is hurting, I need to be protected? Are there the feelings where you say, I'm scared, please be with me? Are there times when you want to say, I need you, but you can't say because these emotions, they get stuck here in the throat and they have no vent. You don't know how to release them and you're stuck. Here, your jaw is also tightened. Your thyroid is imbalanced. A lot of people have thyroid issues. It's again a lifestyle. Thyroid is a lifestyle issue. Your weight gain. What is the weight gain? Why is your weight being gained? Because your mind is just keeping you into that survival mode. You are in a sympathetic nervous system mode. So your thyroid imbalance, your obesity, everything is happening simultaneously. You fear talking to people. There is a fear of confrontation and you don't want to explain things. If you are told to explain, you would rather be silent than explain because you are not sure what you're going to say is going to make sense or no. So either you get frigid with what you're saying or you just let it be. So the throat is learning to say speaking is dangerous, don't speak. Whereas speaking is very important. It is an expression which you have to make because that is how you're going to feel safe. So speaking is not dangerous, my dear friends. We need to speak, we need to express. Only then we'll be able to get our relationships better. Only then we'll be able to get our relationship with ourselves and be our biggest friend and be friends to others. Your chest is always storing the grief, uncried tears, unmet needs, unreceived affection. And what happens? You feel that clenching of the chest, a lot of times you feel suffocated when you are not able to express yourself or you're not able to say something. You want to do something, but you're not able to do. There'll be clenching of the chest, tightening. The breathing would be shallow. Emotional numbness would be there. And there'll be a lot of difficulty in receiving love. You would see a lot of people, you say, oh my God, this person is very strict. You can't talk to this person. Now, why can't you talk to that person? Because that person has not really received that love. And when you have not received love, you don't know how to give it back. So you have to give it back to take it. And now when you have not gotten, you have to learn to take it. You have to learn to express it. That is where you'll be able to open your heart. Your heart is protecting you. That is what your mind is thinking. But that's not exactly the truth as of now. Your belly is also suffering, my dear friends, because your belly, your stomach is your second brain. It is getting all the messages. It is always trying to release the cortisol to make you be safe. But what is happening? Because you were afraid of punishment, afraid of rejection, and you were afraid that you were not good enough. All that stored emotions, what is happening? Anxiety, gut issues, overthinking, controlling. You're trying to control everything. You're trying to be perfect in everything. You're not resting. Again, you're in the survival mode. You are not calming down your system, and you're always looking for danger, which is not there. Yeah. Now, see, according to yogic psychology, these are the very important 3 parts of your body: your chest, your throat, and your belly. Your chest has your Anahat chakra, your green energy, Your heart has to be full of love. It is not, the channels would be blocked. Your pranic flow to the chest would be blocked. Heart stroke, heart problems, heart attack, all these happening because the pranic flow is not normal, because you are not letting your mind rest. Your mind is always keeping you alert. Your throat, because you're not able to express. When a lot of people are not able to express, they'll have throat problems, as we discussed. Here rests our pranic channel, Vishuddhi chakra. And then in the belly, Manipur chakra, because your belly is the center, it is the core. If your belly goes bad, the entire system goes bad completely. So your Manipur chakra, your pranic expression here is blocked. Your grief is restricted, your truth is restricted, and your fear is showing in your stomach. One thing which you really have to understand is that your body is not against you. It is just trying to protect that small child who was never allowed to feel, because that child was wanting to be happy but got confused. And that confusion has reflected itself in the thoughts, in the overthinking loop, and we are suffering on account of it. So when prana cannot move freely, mental clarity reduces and emotional reactivity. You see, people react, they snap. So we have learned to snap because we don't want to be getting into challenging situations. It's better to fight and stay away. That's what we do. But that's not what is right. Before going further, let's understand that Maharishi Patanjali said that Abhyas Vairagya Bham is what will help you get rid of these problems. First thing, we have to understand there is a problem, right? And if you're able to understand that there is a problem, if you're able to get in sync, that is why you are here, because overthinking is happening, stress is happening, there are loops, you're not able to rest, there are a lot of physical issues which are happening. So Abhyas and Vairagya, practice is very important, and learning to detach yourself and be an observer, it's very important. And the third shlok of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Satu Dirghakale Nairantar Satkar Sevitoho Drid Bhumi, means it will not happen. Something which you learned in childhood, it will not go away in 1 session or 2 sessions. You will have to practice at yourself. You will have to keep going back to your therapist. You will have to keep talking, communicating, and in a period of time where you're continuously doing the practice and you are putting your efforts, your discipline, you will be able to make your strong foundation and get out of those loops and become a much better person, ready to help others and take life head on. Now, a lot of information has gone in. Let's start sitting comfortably again. Let the mind rest. I would want you all to sit comfortably. Close your eyes because we are going to be focusing on our 3 places where there is a lot of blockage. Pranic flow is blocked. Our throat, our heart, and our stomach. Sit comfortably. Just focus on 1 or 2 breaths. Try to feel how is your breath. Allow your breath to gently move and ensure that your spine is upright, which means that you're sitting straight yet relaxed. There should be no tension around your spine area. If you can put your hands in the Jnana Mudra, you may put your hands on your thighs in the Jnana Mudra, or you can just relax your hands in your lap with your right hand upwards. Just do what you feel naturally good, because the idea is to relax yourself. Now bring your awareness to your breath. Don't change it. Just noting the breath is needed. Notice how the breath goes inside your body and how it moves out of your body. Gently bring your awareness to your chest, the space where your heart lies. The space where your heart is, your Anahat Chakra, your energy channels of love. This is where love exists. Try to softly breathe into your heart. Try to feel the breath moving through your heart. Notice if there are any sensations here. Some tightness, openness, warmth, heaviness, or nothing at all. Just observe Whatever is there is perfectly okay. There is no judgment, just observation. Just observe your heart space. This is where all your love lies. Only when you feel and give, the love exists. Now gently move your awareness to your throat area, the place where your Vishuddhi chakra, your throat chakra lies. This is the seat and space of expression. From here you express and release. Breathe gently, soft, slow, and kind. Allow the area to soften with each exhale. Let's try to move our Prana Shakti from the throat to the heart and from the heart to the throat. Because only when these channels are open and prana can move freely, that you will be able to feel calm. You will be able to express with love. You will be able to feel and say. Each expression will be full of love and clarity. Stay here with some breaths. Try to breathe in, feeling the Prana Shakti moving from your throat to your heart and then back to your throat. Now bring in your awareness to your belly. Now make sure that the breath moves from the throat to the heart to the belly. Belly is the pranic channel of Manipura chakra, which is fire itself. Let the breath travel all the way down to the abdomen. Feel the belly rise and fall. Let it soften. Let it feel supported. Chest, throat, belly. Breathing slowly through these spaces. Creating control, which lets to express creating ease of expression, creating room for love. We are not trying to change anything. We are simply creating safety. Now allow your awareness to move naturally through your body. There is no specific place to go. Simply watch where your attention wants to rest. If any heaviness appears, gently stay with the sensation. No story, no past, only the sensation. No future, only the sensation in the present moment. You do not need to understand anything. You do not need to understand your sensation. You only need to feel it safely. If any emotions begin to arise, allow it. Allow your emotions to rise like a wave. A wave that forms peak and slowly dissolves. Let that wave peak and slowly dissolve. Your breath is your anchor. Ensure that your each inhale is steady and each exhale is a grounding. You are safe now in this moment. There is no need to fix anything. Your nervous system is learning that feeling is safe. You can feel. You have the right to feel. And whatever you feel is all right. Let the breath create space around the sensation wherever you have a sensation, because there must be some sensation in some part of the body. Create space in the chest. Create space in the throat. Create space in the belly. With every exhale, allow the body to release a little more of what it has been holding. Take a deep breath inside. Let it travel through the throat, to the heart, reaching to the abdomen, making the abdomen rise. And when it starts to get ready to leave the body, the stomach falls, taking all the worries, all the tensions, all the burdens out of the body. With every exhale, allow the body to release what it has been holding. Feel the stored tension softening, held emotions gently loosening. Pause. Nothing to force, nothing to suppress, nothing to push away. Just allowing, just breathing, just being. Now release all the effort now. There is nothing left to do. Nothing left to guide. Simply allow. Let the breath return to the natural rhythm. Easy, unforced, and quiet. Feel the body settling into the surface beneath you, supported, held, at ease. Notice the subtle sensation of stillness, the gentle weight of your body, the softness of the muscles, the quietness of the mind. A little more room to breathe. Become aware of the space that has opened inside. Space in the chest, space in the throat, space in the belly. A little more room to breathe. A little more room to feel. A little more room to simply be. Rest in this spacious new house of yours. Nothing is missing at this moment. Nothing needs to change. Your nervous system has to memorize this feeling. This is safety. This is steadiness. This is what emotional safety feels like. Calm, open, supported. Enough. Rest here for a few breaths. Before we move towards the closing of the session. Emotions are no problems, they are the messages. So you have to pay attention to your emotions. So your homework is that if you feel when you are at whatever place, if there is any sensation, any heaviness, anything which tries to suffocate you or make you feel, get caught in an overthinking loop, just learn to take 5 deep breaths full of awareness and try to align your breath, and your thoughts will get aligned. Keep your eyes closed. Let's do a little prarthana, a Shanti Path before we part for today. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukh Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let everybody be sukhi and happy. Let everybody be diseaseless and healthy. Let everybody see good and good only, and nobody get dukhi and see sorrows. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You may stay in this position before you feel like to come back, and then you can come back and reflect on whatever we did today, how it felt, and how you felt with the entire expression. And hopefully, we did justice to today's exercise. Any questions? They'll be answered in the WhatsApp group, in the Facebook group, or on YouTube. You can get in touch for your personalized consultations and therapy. Namaskar. God bless you.